We are spilling the tea on the Empress and the Knight of Wands. So, if you saw the winter solstice reading, that was primarily about the Copycat, and later on in the reading, both the Empress and the Knight of Wands came out reverse. And since that reading, these two characters have been kind of stuck in my craw, and that doesn't typically happen. So I wanted to pick up the thread from that last reading and get a little more background on what their deal is, because it from that reading it seemed like you knew something you weren't supposed to know. The example that had come out was like catching people making out in like the storage closet or something. Like you caught people doing something that they knew they weren't supposed to be doing, something sordid and what have you. But it doesn't necessarily have to be specifically that. And it was this book, The Ultimate Guide to Tarot by Liz Dean. The reverse descriptions for both these cards were really sticking out in my mind, so I wanted to read them from the book. And if you are either a new reader or a seasoned reader, I highly recommend this. One of my favorite parts about this book is that the major arcana have a spread based on each of those cards, and it's pretty cool. It really helps you get to know those cards more in depth. But so, the Empress, when reversed, the Empress shows financial issues and domestic strife. This may take the form of a controlling and disruptive influence at home. She can also show a creative block in your projects and someone who is needy and takes too much from you. The result of these challenges and demands is stressful, and there may be an impact on fertility, if this is an issue for you now, literally in terms of conceiving a child, or figuratively, in terms of finding the time and peace of mind to grow an idea. So like I was saying in that last reading, this is like the Cersei Lannister. She is the distorted, feminine ruler, and she can embody any of the four queens of any of the suits in that distorted energy. And for the Knight of Wands, in general, the reverse Knight of Wands reveals a creative block or miscommunication, so emails go astray and other messages are not delivered. The reverse Knight also indicates delays and deferred decisions. You may feel frustrated at the lack of progress. Know that this influence is temporary and will pass. In the meantime, hold fast to your plans and your self-belief. As a person, the reverse Knight is egotistical. He thrives on status but is generally unwilling to do any hard work to deserve it. Regardless, he will step up to take the credit. Insincere and attention-seeking, he acts out of self-interest. So it sounds like creative blocks has some emphasis here. And another thing that came up in that previous reading was that something discriminatory might be going on. And so there's a lot of threads that are starting to connect, because the position that the Empress and the Knight of Wands came up in was referencing creations. It was on the Mountain card, so that was that callback to the Copycat. So let's see what the common thread is between the two. I was going to say like denominator, but this is the Roast Iconic. I love this cardstock. It's so metal. Let's see. So I want to get a little bit more about the dynamic between these two, because if it is something discriminatory, it seems like you're not up against just one person, and that I find that even more concerning, like not just something being discriminatory, but I'd also like to get an insight into the workings of this kind of mind, because it's such a foreign thought process to me that I just don't get it. Like, why treat someone differently based on the way they're born? Like, I imagine that's something they wouldn't want happening to them. Like, if it happened to them or somebody that they actually care about, like, it would be an affront. It's this double standard nonsense. I'm just gonna cut it. I saw one that looked like a caution sign. Self-care. It's an alien. The third eye. Self-care is the common thread between these two. Taking care of oneself at the expense of others, like, and that's the rationalization is like, well, I had to take care of me. Like, it doesn't matter that that person was dependent on me, that this is like a workplace situation. As long as I'm taken care of, that's what matters. That is incorrect. That is not the correct way of things. But let's get more. Tell me more about these two. I'm just going to take the top one. Oh. Nope. I'm taking that too. And gosh darn it. 3's enough. Because there seems like a lot of conflict behind that. I don't want to take full 6 cards in one position though. So we've got Queen of Cups in reverse, the Lovers upright, and 2 of Cups in reverse. Oh. So very manipulative. This might be the what's it? Like the cognitive function that the Empress is leaning more heavily into is the feeling, like the INFJ, the F is feeling, that cognitive function, that's where she's leaning. But leaning into some sort of distortion that, like, because something feels good, it means it's okay. Or because, like say they're experiencing like jealousy or envy over your success or something, and because that feels bad to them, then there's some sort of rationalization that this is a really strange energy, but like a rationalization that if they stop you from being successful, that's okay because that made them feel bad. It doesn't make sense. Very dysregulated. And then the Lovers, you know, that I think that's emphasizing that like you caught them making out in the storage closet or what have you. You know, maybe it's you noticed something online, you know, like this person is consistently, you know, liking or hearting or whatever the Knight of Wands posts, or like the other way around, something like that. Or even like the suspicious absence of likes. Like they like all their individual posts but are missing something when they're up there with their spouse or something. You know, their emperor. And then 2 of Cups, that could be just like a forbidden union. You know, I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, but in the back is the caduceus, the staff of Hermes. That's supposed to be healing. This is doing harm. And like willfully doing harm. It's kind of like if you've ever been in like a friendship or even a relationship or something that you know is like an unhealthy dynamic, it's almost like it's really hard to resist, like regressing into old habits, old patterns, something like that. And, well, what's it? Mob mentality? like you get kind of sucked into the gravity of the dynamic. We've got the What's the Tea deck here. Let's get a little more. Oh. That's 3. So we've got dodging bullets in reverse, ignoring in reverse, and giving money in reverse. Okay. So dodging bullets, blocking bad energy, escaping toxic people, haters can't touch you, ignoring, left on red, avoiding messages, giving the silent treatment, and I couldn't help but notice it says ride the wave on that picture in the back. And then giving money, paying their bills, always asking, trying to buy love. That came through really literally for me. Like, no shade if you are a person of the night, don't get me wrong. But it seems like this people, is it like a compulsion? Like, they're so dysregulated in their water energy in the cups, in the feeling, that they're trying to compensate through like carnal means. So they're not escaping the toxicity of the situation. And maybe being really affected by, if we go back to that social media example, like really affected by social media behavior. Like if, let's say this is an affair of some sort, and the question that just like popped up in my head and threw off the thought train, like, what does that have to do with you? I don't think you're actually involved in this, like, other than potentially, like, noticing something or catching something. But you feel really, like, tertiary to me. But so they are really, like, deeply impacted by perception. You know, and we talked about communal narcissism in the last reading. And then maybe Knight of Wands got with the Empress on, like, marrying for money, and is now finding out they don't have money. Like, it was just a lie. Like, in a shocking turn of events, there's no honor amongst thieves. You know, like, go figure. But I want to know, what does this have to do with you? Like, it's... I'm a little baffled by that. Like, just seems like you're getting pulled into this drama. Because discrimination is not drama. That's harm. That it's not like a, oh, well, I didn't mean to. Like, this is not like every company has those trainings that you have to click the I understand button. You clicked I understand, you assumed liability. Like, you just assumed liability for all the material in that training as soon as you clicked that button. And I am not a lawyer. It's not legal advice. Snack in reverse. They don't think you're a snack? You don't think they're a snack. Oh, the plot thickens. Did you turn them down? I don't even feel like in a nasty way or anything. It's just like, oh, hey, you know, like, we work together. That I don't do that, you know? Or just a flat out, like, I'm not interested. You are not obligated to elaborate beyond, and I'm not interested. No, thank you. Like, or just no. Full sentence. Oh, and I did a random dice roll too. Scorpio, second house, and Neptune. And Neptune is at 29 degrees Pisces right now, so it's about to go into Aries. So a reality check, coming back down to Earth. Page of Cups, reversed. This is the message card, but a surprising message. So something you're not surprised by. Maybe you saw the writing on the wall that, like, the invitation was coming. Like like I'm gonna get asked out to lunch or to dinner or something, like to something that now I have to navigate this interaction because I'm, this captive audience, and I must deal with this now because it's being thrust upon me against my will. So you saw it coming. What else? Nope. What? I'm almost getting the sense that, like, as a response or in, I don't know, the realm of your rejection. Rejection even feels a little bit strong because it just feels like a no thank you. But, like, this was like, I don't know, like a knee-jerk reaction to that. Like, well, if that person won't get with me, what are you doing? Like, just the next proximity, Which it's like, man, just take it down a notch. Like, read a book. Something. Shoot. Nope. Going with the bottom one. Five of Pentacles. Reversed. Oh, and she's got a baby. And that reversed Empress description mentioned fertility issues. I'm trying to feel out like are you someone like me who doesn't want kids, and was that interpreted as a rejection? Like, when it's just an incompatibility? I mean, yeah, I guess technically, yeah, that's a rejection, but like, good lord, regulate yourself, like your emotions. The Hierophant, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's structures and, gosh, I have never actually really looked at this Hierophant's face. Haunting. Like, I know the eyes aren't actually blacked out, but they look blacked out, and it's just never come across that way to me before. It's like the nightmare realm. But this is like traditional structures, religious institutions, large organizations and such, like regulatory bodies. And that flipped over when I said, like, regulate yourself. I almost feel like that's the energy coming at you. Like, ugh, silly woman in your rights. Like, you'll grow up. You'll meet the right man and you'll grow up. Like, ugh, bleh. I don't like that. That, oh man, the speed with which that conversation would end in person with me and the volatility would be impressive. Let's see, what's the tea about this? Yeah, I'm getting that. Or did something flip? Like they thought you were a snack until like they realized who you were. But then it was like they were disgusted by you. Because it's that like discriminatory energy. So it's just very invalidating of your core beliefs and your values and such. And they're treating like your earnest beliefs as like a joke, like something you'll grow out of. I've been around people like that before, and they are insufferable. Insufferable. Because they know that that kind of stuff doesn't fly. So they are going to manipulate and fly under the radar and whatnot. Because, like, the way you would get looked at if you actually came out and just said, like, I don't know, like, you'll grow out of it. Like, how older generations used to talk about homosexuality and such. And, like, oh, and even today, like, the right side of the spectrum will be like, oh, you just haven't, like, met the right man. Like, nope, just not interested. And you, unfazed. Doesn't care, didn't flinch, you can't shake me. But we're talking about discrimination here. Something, you know, the Pentacles, the Hierophant, so we're back on that work theme. That's obviously going to phase you. It's your money, it's your livelihood, it's your reputation, because God knows what's being said about you, like behind your back in rooms you're not in to defend yourself. And if this person has the communal perception, then they'll just get believed. It's just an unfortunate, like, well, I say unfortunate, but that's not entirely true. Because the structures in power remain that way because like for like, hands off power. The baton gets passed to people who are like them. And, like, who's really truly screening for this? Like, what preventative measures are being taken to ensure that someone is not, like, silently stacking the deck towards people who are like them? More people like them? Like, they're not exactly sharing power, you know? And we often talk about problems with the system as if those problems begin at the top. They're at the next layer up of wherever you are on the respective pyramid. Because if you've, who was it? Was it the Stanford prison experiment? That thing that got, like, abandoned faster than it was planned for because people got out of control with the power that they were given. That, I mean, that happens in any structure. It doesn't have to be in, like, a fake prison. As soon as you give people power over another, like, something takes over, like that mob mentality. And there's just a de facto Like the he said, she said stuff by nature favors power. It favors the people in power. And what's being done about it? The short answer is nothing, because like exploitation is required for capitalism to succeed. My little soapbox. And people will abuse their power in all sorts of witch ways that make you sound crazy. When what's crazy is what they're doing and getting away with it. There is not enough supervision over people who are supervisors, who are being given power over others' lives, like basically unchecked. Because it's completely on the people on the wrong side of the power curve to take on the Goliath, you know? Cyberbully. Okay. Online attacks, hiding behind screens, words can still wound. And it was in reverse. Was this seen? Because a lot of organizations, like, they have chat history on. Like, you can just pull the chat history. Did somebody within this Hierophant organization see the cyberbullying? Because imagine the Empress and the Knight of Wands get caught doing something, right? And then launch this crusade against you, and then utilize like work channels to plot and plan it. You know? Like it just, you weren't thinking at all. Like maybe take a breath before we make decisions, before we do things that like hurt people's lives, you know? Copycat. And kissing butt. And kissing butt is in the upright. Got a bouquet of flowers. Oh, and interesting. Sorry, my brain had to make that connection. Peruvian lilies is what those are. And those are one of the few lilies that don't make cats sick. Copycat. So it's like towing a line. Like right on the line. And Copycat, where were these? Steals your ideas, duplicates your style, and feeds off your creativity. But it's in reverse. Are you the supposed copycat? Because this has flowers on it too. But these are drawn. Kind of look like tattoo flowers, like the classic Americana. But the deal with lilies, like Easter lilies, are a big no-no. Like you can't even, like you need to wash your hands thoroughly before you even come in the home. And I don't know what it is about Peruvian lilies, but those are fine, supposedly. At least from what I Googled. But this feels like a downplaying. Like, no, they're lilies, but they're not lethal. Is that what this copycat is about? I'm trying to pick up on this energy. This feels hidden. Like, no, it was a compliment that I was stealing your work. It's that creativity, creations. Like, it's like somebody completely ripping off something creative of yours and then going like, well, like imitation is the highest form of flattery. Like, not when you're stealing money out of my pocket, it's not. Especially when there's like no kind of permission was given. There's no pretense, premise to believe that that would be okay with the person whose creativity is being stolen. Because it's one thing to be like inspired by somebody, like rework it, you know, like the um when I did that conspiracy reading, I was talking about um that I had never heard of crime readings before. Like, I still did the reading, but I got the idea from other people who I see do that. That's inspiration. But it'd be like if somebody was like copying, like I do those hero's journey readings too. Like, that was my idea to like put together that structure, you know, how I linked things up with the zodiac reading, like to do that and then not credit me or something like that, you know. And it is the internet, you know. That doesn't make it any less crappy because people know it's wrong because they'd be upset if it happened to them. But on the right, what's the goal, the ambition of the Empress and the Knight of Wands? Because we got the sense that they hooked up because of dysregulation, but now that things are kind of breaking down, starting to go awry. What are we doing? What's the goal? Is that 2? Okay. Starseed and privilege. A lot of aliens. It says white tears on that cup. That's funny. Love and light. Oh boy, the privilege. Because I'm kind of getting that you're the starseed in this scenario. And if they're stealing your creativity, your creations, what have you, it's like they're trying to siphon money off of you. Like a Ponzi scheme, maybe. Like what was it? The marrying for money, but turns out the Empress doesn't have any money. Is the Empress going after you, going after your creations, like steal from Peter to pay Paul? You know, they can't keep the Knight of Wands happy because they can't follow through on like this lavish lifestyle that was promised. So they're finding another person to take advantage of, get their money to give it to the Knight of Wands. But who knows how far back that just like train of BS goes. This one. It's very layered. That almost like, because I have a full, just absolutely detest discrimination. But to use something that disgusting to wiggle your way out of your own lie. Like, this just seems so twisted. So the goal is to take away privilege from a starseed. Eight of Pentacles, yeah. This is the artisan card. Creativity, paintings. The master. You are the master of whatever it is your respective, like, creative project is. Or even, like, your work. You know, this is Pentacles. It could be something very technical. Technical things require creative thinking, creative problem solving. But look at all the copies. The pentacles in the background. Like, the way that image is mostly interpreted is that it would be the painter that had done all of those paintings. But what I'm getting from this is that they're copying. Because the model, like, it's a woman, not a pentacle. Why is that person painting pentacles while looking at a model of a woman? It doesn't make sense. It's incongruent. So what else? So they're copying your work. Or maybe just stealing your ideas, you know? And that was going to come out upright, and it just went reverse. King of Pentacles. This is giving me, I don't know if it's because of that meme that's going around with the music video. What's his bucket? John Hamm? The guy from Mad Men. That's what I'm getting from this, with the suit and the everything. So it was going to come out upright, but it went reverse. So maybe this Knight of Wands, it could be either, really. Knight of Wands or the Empress, or both, started legit. Like, they started doing things the right way, but at some point things took a turn. Like, I don't know, they got frustrated, something happened in their life, and, like, this has happened to me before, where, this is a long time ago. This was in my early 20s, and where I was working at the time, that district manager was going through something personal. I think their parent had passed away, something like that. And also, like, a divorce, like, things very subsequent, close in time. And I became, like, the avatar for the vitriol. They just didn't like me. They really had took a shine to the previous manager, but not to me. You know, I looked different. I was less bubbly, less the cheerleader, and more like, we're here to get things done. You know? And much less concerned with being likable, and just like, I'm here to do a job and then go home. Like, I don't know why that's a problem. But it resulted in me being treated differently than the previous manager, but not in such ways that were illegal. In ways that were unfair, but not against policy. Like, it's these things that, like, toe the line. And so maybe something happened to their finances. So, like, maybe when they got with the Knight of Wands, they had the money for the expensive self-care, for the lotions and the creams and the spa days and the everything's. As if there's anything wrong with, like, the drugstore brands. They work just fine for me. I digress. But What else? And John Hamm's character in Mad Men, there was just kind of like an understanding, like an unspoken understanding of that time that men cheated on their wives. Like that was the cultural norm. That is not the cultural norm now. Like it still happens, but it's not defensible in the way that it was back then. I mean, I still think it's indefensible, but Six of Cups. The past, speaking of. This is also the soulmate card, the nostalgia card. And I've always liked this is like denim on the background. I love denim. It's like a denim book. Like that texture. You know, if you take the dust covers off. I feel like I need one more. Because I can't quite pick up on what that's about. Did they think you were their soulmate? And in some, like, barely discernible... Yeah. Just moment of, like, oh, I'm not interested, or, like, that's not my thing, or I don't want kids. Not like I don't want your kids, I don't want kids. Like, flat. That their hopes and dreams of you being their soulmate were dashed. And I'm taking the Temperance card in reverse as a yes. 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on land. Part man, part woman, all angel. Temperance. But that's another, like, distortion of what am I trying to get at? Like when you're just incompatible with someone, you know, like you want kids and they don't, like how are you gonna argue that, you know? And what I'm getting from this is that this person didn't argue it, but they did act on it. Like they still did stuff in response to that, to you not wanting kids or whatever the incompatibility was. Like throwing a hissy fit. But a hissy fit that had real detrimental consequences on, like, they're stealing your work, and therefore your pentacles, like money that should be yours, is in their pocket, maybe completely unbeknownst to you. Because that cyberbully card, this was reversed. Come here. Was this a cyber attack you didn't see? Or you're, like, I don't know. Are they stealing your work from, like, an account that they blocked you on? Like, preemptively blocked you? I don't know if you heard the dogs out there, but they just started barking. But it's like... Because I'm pretty sure, on YouTube at least... Like, if you block somebody from your channel, I don't know if that just makes the comments invisible, but they still have access to your channel, or you just block them from commenting, like something like that. Some layer. What else about this starseed privilege? Revocation. Not even revocation. It feels like you didn't even get it. So if you're being discriminated against and your work is being stolen, like, good God. Like, learn how to take rejection. Oop. Haunted. Yeah, memories, flashbacks, trauma, side effects. Like, I think there's, what's it called? There's, like, rejection sensitivity. Is that? I feel like I need to look that up. Where's my e-pad? I think that's a thing. Like in some conditions, afflictions. Rejection. Rejection sensitive dysphoria. Intense emotional pain and distress from perceived or actual rejection, criticism, or failure, feeling disproportionate to the event. Often linked with ADHD and neurodivergence, causing symptoms like rage, shame, extreme self-doubt, or withdrawal. So, I mean, if that's something you're experiencing in response to rejection, like, talk to a therapist. They might be able to help you work through that. You know, like, not only for your life, if the cross watchers are around, but for the lives that you're negatively impacting. Because these are not benign things that I'm picking up on. Like, this is not, and not that any form of bullying, like intangible bullying, like, not to downplay that. And it's not, like, calling you names is not taking your money, you know? They're different. Both bad. They're both on the bad side of the scale. Nope. Just a 2. Creeping. And what does that say? Uninterested. So, very interested. Dare I say, obsessed. Because if we've got creeping and uninterested in the reverse, that's almost like feigning disinterest. That's really like playing into that, like that rejection sensitivity, but that's also the, like, stealing your work. You know, they're creeping potentially from, like, that weird, like, they blocked you and this and that, or maybe even fake accounts, but they're acting like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, whatever, I'm over it, when they're clearly not. Like, we can see the steam coming out of your ears, you know? And it's not to put people down. Like, it's not to, like, poke the bear, you know? Poke fun at people. Of, like, oh, you can't handle rejection. Like, oh, you poor thing. Like, something's up, dude. Like, someone turned you down and you're, like, out to get them? Like, something's going on that is gonna has not only clearly had serious consequences on the subject, the victim, let's be real, but, like, you're gonna land yourself in the clinker at this rate. You can't just make someone else the focus of your life to destroy them like that. Like, something's wrong. Not trying to be mean. You know, I go through the PTSDs. When things are wrong, things are wrong. It doesn't mean that, like, at least if, you know, people aren't cruel, we're not pointing the finger and laughing at you. But it's like, man, this is not okay for anybody involved, like yourself included. And this took a turn. Like a really heavy turn. I mean, I did say I wanted insight into the mind of like what's going on in there. I feel like I got it. But what I don't feel like advice is the right question. I mean, sorta. How do we break these invisible chains? Because that's what it feels like. Because if you are getting discriminated against and your work is being stolen, it's like you can't win on any front. Like, where are you supposed to go? What are you supposed to do? Like, that's financial abuse. That's not nothing. That leaves you trapped, that leaves you in place. So, how do we break. Oh, Shaman's Harvest. In Chains, that song. I gotta break these chains. Like a king without a crown, a cripple without his cane. It's a good song. Very bluesy. There's another verse in there. Pump me till I'm numb. Pump me till I'm numb. The acid fills my veins. I think is how that goes. There's a lot of intense imagery in that. And the music video is intense too. Oop. The Oracle in reverse. Huh. Getting LGBT too from that. It's like the you'll grow out of it kind of garbage thing. But the Oracle in reverse is like you can't see it. The invisible chains. Gonna need more. I want to know how to break those. Maybe stop looking for them? Looking in a different place? Starry-eyed surprise. There's little stars and stuff in the iris there. That seems like it wants to come out. Six of Wands in reverse. Man. Oh no. The example that just came to mind was like how JFK went. Like, and of course I'm not trying to elicit fear in anyone, but it just is saying to me, like that was, he wasn't being cautious, like over trusting, like naive, that something like that wouldn't happen to him. I think because of his like reputation or something. So he didn't have like the bulletproof glass. So it's like not overlooking precautions. And I was also thinking too that like when you do find a way out, keep it to yourself. Like I hate to say that, but I have escaped financial abuse in the past. And if I were to do that again, I would not say anything until I was physically out. Like everything was out, the escape plan was hatched, anything. Nope. Yeah, leaving. Okay. 8 of Cups. And lots of red in this deck, in the Pulp Tarot. And I'm not getting the the same vibe as like from the Rider-Waite, where they're kind of like hunched over and they're walking away from like a dried up creek. And this is the Saturn and Pisces card. Um, they've got their hands in their pockets, they're kind of striding away. All these cups are just nicely stacked up at the table. It's just like it's time to go. And if you gotta leave in the middle of the night, GTFO. I think it's really important that we shed this illusion that we owe people explanations as to why we're escaping them. You know, there's like a societal pressure on like closure and all this stuff. If you have to get away from someone for your well-being, for your safety, because they're making you miserable, whatever your reasoning is, why do you feel the need to explain yourself? And I don't mean that in a like wagging my finger at you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just sit with that. Sit with that question when you doubt what you're doing, if you're making the right decision, things like that. Why do I feel that I owe people who have treated me this badly anything? You don't. And I mean, yeah, if this is a workplace thing, something might need to be civil in the office, but that's it. Ten of Swords, which I think was one of the final cards in the last reading too. And my favorite, because only way from rock bottom is up, and now I have all the swords. And this has always given me the, what was it? The Game of Thrones tarot. The Bolton banner. It's very similar. But betrayal, ultimate betrayal, like down on the ground, down for the count. And this might just be letting things ride. There. What's this little script say? Can't read it. But kind of like what I was saying, like you don't owe people closure, especially if you are escaping them. Like it... Leave the Ten of Swords there on the ground in their back. Like if that's how they feel as a result of like, how dare you be affected by these negative things I did to you? Like, I'm so betrayed. Okay. You're not going to win that argument. No explanation you give is ever going to be good enough. And that is the trap of closure. That, like, you could get stuck on the merry-go-round of BS, of, like, the never-ending semantical dissection of, like, well, that's not what I meant. We're talking about the impact of what you did, not what you intended. Impact. I know both words start with an I. But it's like we're splitting hairs there. It's like the Peruvian lilies. Like, they're not lethal lilies. Like, but I told you no lilies. Like, why are you towing the line like this? And then it turns into you being the ungrateful one, being like, nothing I'd ever do for you is good enough, and yada yada yada. And like, I told you no lilies. Not no lilies if. No lilies. Oop. Moves in silence, yeah. So, when you find your exit, don't tell anyone. And that is so true And especially if you're dealing with like domestic violence and whatnot. And let's be real, financial abuse is violence because it limits your movement, it limits your freedom, it might even extract freedom from you. Invisible chains are still chains. And the best way to protect your escape plan is to not tell anybody about it. Was that the dead men tell no tales? Whatever. Like, two can keep a secret, but I can't remember the full phrase. One person can keep a secret. Played out. Oh, and there's some booze in there. Maybe somebody's drinking. And there's a love letter, it looks like. Maybe there's some sort of, like, sympathy play. Like what I was saying with, the job where I became the avatar for the vitriol. Like, maybe some sort of, like, excuse is gonna be made that, like, well, I was dealing with addiction problems, or I was dealing with a divorce or something. Like, okay, what's that got to do with me? Nothing. I'm just your victim that you decided to dump all your crap on rather than dealing with your stuff. Like, go to therapy. My goodness. Like, it's not that I'm unsympathetic to what you're going through, but now, after the fact, after I've been harmed, you're going to turn around and expect me to soothe you? Absolutely not. Insane. And into you. In reverse. Good chemistry, great vibes, and pure intentions. It's maintaining access to you. And I know I've said this before on the channel. It sucks when you discover that you're just a resource to someone. That's a really harsh reckoning. That it's like they're after your pentacles, or they're after your ideas, or because it could be the copying of the work. It could be taking your ideas up the ladder in, like, a corporate setting. Something like that. You know, like, you, this star seed, maybe you have some progressive ideas of how to improve the organization, improve things for the lives of employees and so forth. And you are genuinely sharing that with people that you thought you could trust, that were presenting themselves as trustworthy, but they're just cut and run with your ideas, and it's furthering their career. So that's a rock and a hard place. Because, like, what are you supposed to do when the person above you literally has control over your progression, your upward progression? So you need to report progress and ideas and goals and so on and so forth to them, but then they just turn around and take those from you? What are you supposed to do? This is why I don't like the way things are currently structured, because everything completely fails to protect the people that success is dependent on. The bottom of the pyramid stops complying, the business is going to fail immediately. I don't know. Talk to your local union. There's my plug. They can help you organize. And, what's it called? Union stewards. They have a role in things. Don't know exactly what it is, but Maybe they can help. Outlaw Star and South Park. My comfort show of choice. And Outlaw Star, gosh, that was an anime from the early 2000s? Maybe late 90s. It was right around the Cowboy Bebop era. Uh, Really cool. Really interesting story with like a grappling ship. Like ships that have arms that they grapple and stuff. Like, if you can catch it, I highly recommend. I can't remember what service it's on anymore. But it's one that I've seen several times and had a lot of themes of transformation. I'm feeling like something's a little left undone, but I think I'm going to leave it there. And I think there's going to be at least one more reading regarding this thread, this storyline, because I'm kind of feeling a deeper archetypal thing going on, but I don't quite have a grasp on it yet, so stay tuned. But overall, I hope this helps. I hope this resonates. Kind of don't, but you catch the drift. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.